Hi, Alfred Brock here with the. I live here in the city of Wayne, Michigan. I'm not too far from the Van Buren Charter Township. A charter township here in the state of Michigan is the word bamboozle is probably doesn't fit it. It's a little worse than that. That's where when they first settled the state, they carved out by they did their land surveying, and they have all these squares of townships all over the state. That's how they did the breakdown of government in Michigan. And someone can declare a charter township if they need to have some police protection, or they call it public safety protection, and fire engines and things like that, up to like 9 to 10,000 citizens. Now, some of these charter townships here in the state of Michigan have taken advantage of that. We have some charter townships right next door to the city of Wayne that's like got 100,000 people in it. And the difference, you might say, what's the difference in the name? Well, the difference in the name is that there are completely different tax structures. And also, like, say the city of Wayne has to contribute something to the state, and then they get something back in something called profit sharing, which hasn't been done properly for quite a while. We don't get quite as much as something like the charter township, which does not put anything into that stuff. So it's not right. Anyway, let me read you something about a resolution regarding radioactive waste scheduled to come to Wayne County. And at this time, it's already been coming here, and it's been coming here for the past 2 years, but we just caught up with it because someone wrote about it in the newspaper. I mean, the federal representatives, the state representatives might have known. I don't know, those folks over there on the charter township of Van Buren Township, I'm sure they knew that. But they didn't tell anybody. They didn't bother to tell anybody. So anyway, let's hear the resolution. And this was read at a special meeting of the Wayne County City Council of the City of Wayne, Michigan, held at Wayne City Hall on September 5th, 2024. It's a resolution. Whereas the City of Wayne is near the Wayne Disposal Incorporated hazardous waste landfill that is planning to take 6,000 cubic yards of soil and concrete and 4,000 gallons of groundwater contaminated with elevated radiation from Niagara Falls storage site in Lewiston, New York, which from 1944 until 1952 served as a primary storage location for waste and byproducts associated with uranium ore refining. I'm not going to go over that completely, but it's got the gist of it. But it's a little more complicated than that, and a little more worse, because this is not uranium ore processing. Whereas the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers is working on a multi-year project to remove the elevated radiation waste from the Niagara site, with 25 semi-trailer loads of the radioactive waste shipped on local highways and roads a week. That's 25 semi-trailers, 25 trailer truck loads a day, beginning in late August through January 2025. Whereas the Conference of Western Wayne, comprised of 18 member communities, one of which is the one that's been accepting this but didn't tell anybody about it, representing over 730,000 residents, passed a resolution in opposition to the proposed plan. Whereas the City of Wayne's officials were not notified of the upcoming transport of radioactive waste through and near our community, and public safety issues of this magnitude affect the entire region and surrounding communities in Michigan, putting our residents, motorists, and infrastructure in harm's way. Whereas the government officials and residents have no say in what occurs at Michigan Disposal, although it directly impacts the health and welfare of our communities. And whereas questions about why the Wayne disposal site was selected, why local officials and the public were not notified, what safety measures are being taken for the transport and disposal of material, whether the waste will be tested before landfilling, what protocols and technologies are being used to safely manage and contain the waste, and what ongoing monitoring of materials all remain unanswered. And by the way, they're planning on keeping it there in perpetuity. So this corporation, which has posted a bond, of course, with the state Michigan Environmental, Great Lakes and Energy Authority Department, with a half-life of 4 billion years. Anyway, now therefore be it resolved that the City of Wayne City Council formally requests that Wayne Disposal reconsider accepting radioactive waste, and that the federal government seek alternative solutions to disposing of their radioactive and hazardous waste that does not jeopardize our citizens and infrastructure, including changing interstate agreements, and further resolved that city officials shall be notified in advance of all transport of the referenced waste, including but not limited to specific safety measures during transport, routes of the semi-trailers, and what days and times these semi-trailers will be traveling through our community. This is all very good and everything. We voted it yes, but it doesn't address the fact that the state of Michigan can bar this material just as the state of New York has barred it. This material needs to be treated in a special way, and it does not, if it's buried underground, it's doing a disservice to the local people. It's doing a disservice to everybody in the state of Michigan. Southeast Michigan is the most populated area in the state of Michigan. We have been fighting to restore our economy and keep our society growing and doing well. And this is beyond unfair. This is a very serious mistake. The United States Army Corps of Engineers Buffalo region, which is the one dealing with this material, actually made the deal, apparently, with the company here in the state of Michigan. And the United States Army Corps of Engineer group, which operates here in Southeast Michigan, has got no say in it whatsoever. So unbelievably, even though this comes from a federal project, in the 1990s, the Department of Energy transferred responsibility of taking care of this stuff to the United States Army Corps of Engineers, and their standard operating procedure is to bury it. So that's not treating this stuff. There's something seriously wrong here. And last but not least, it's just not the greatest way to deal with it. We have lots of other materials that have to be dealt with here, and this is a state of Michigan problem. This state, which is located on the Great Lakes and makes a great big splash about taking care of the Great Lakes and the water, is in the unique position of poisoning a great large area for pennies. For pennies. We're not being protected here. Our state government is a problem, and regulating this material needs to be taken care of immediately. It's going to be processed. Burying it is not an option. We need jobs. If this is going to be taken care of and it can be done safely, and we're going to do it here, that's one thing. But burying it in the ground and not telling anybody about it, that doesn't fly.